Hey everybody, good evening and welcome to CNC Portland. I'm Patrick Sharp, I'm your host, owner and general manager. Assisting tonight on the door and with the alcohol is Carissa. Let's give Carissa a round of applause. And as usual, we're very happy to have the showcases happening. This is the first of 4 showcases this month. There'll be another one on Thursday night. Plus, next Sunday night is the first of the stand-up second Sundays. Or, yeah, I did it right. The SUS, stand-up second Sunday. Susan Rice will be headlining that. It's pretty awesome with Carl and
Sarah and Chris who are
Sarah and Chris. So, thank you. Yeah, that'd be fantastic. So, tonight, by being here, you agree that you might accidentally show up on the Zooms or on YouTube from now until perpetuity, and we get to market using your image. Thank you. And also, just a reminder, most of the people here have seen one of these before. This is a non-heckling zone. This is a student showcase. We aim to have stand-up in a more genteel, friendly, supportive being the key word, atmosphere. And I'm proud once again to introduce your host for tonight, Carl Wolfson, who has taught 48 years. Appeared in all 50 states and on several TV shows.
That's right. I performed in Alaska before we got it from Brushman.
It was amazing. For 67 million.
Patrick Short, ladies and gentlemen. Patrick, thank you for coming out on a rainy Sunday. I really appreciate it. We'll probably have a few more people coming in. And how many of you are here to see your friends or family members tonight? Yeah. I love that you're being supportive. It's really very nice because I love these students. This is a terrific class. Well, actually, this show is from 8 performers from all 3 of my classes mixed in. So give them a round of applause for doing comedy. It takes a lot to get up on stage for the first or second or third time and put yourself out there. So I'm really proud that they're doing it. I'm not going to do any material tonight because we have 8 performers. They've each promised they will do less than 10, or they'll get that Oscar playoff music. And so I'm just going to bring them up and let you enjoy. And we have one rule, is to have fun. And by the end of the show, I want you as happy as you were last Thursday when the Manhattan jury came back, okay? That's what I want. Starting out our show, a great guy who's done a couple classes with me. He's just terrific, and I love his point of view. And every creative person has a good one. Please welcome Dega Westerhoff Mason. Dega!
So who can tell me, when did pets become people? Seemed like sometime during the pandemic we passed the 28th Amendment and all of a sudden we were using words like dog mom, pet parent, and fur baby. It's even messing with our institutions, like gentrification. It used to be that in Portland, the clear sign of gentrification was a cheese shop, because it's hard to get more useless than a cheese shop. But we did it with pet butchers. These are not butchers that turn your pet into meat. No. These are butchers with meat exclusively for your dog or obese cat. I live next to one, and they're always ringing their bells, asking for donations for charities like Paws for Cause. It's for dogs that want to go volunteer in Haiti. Yeah, pets are people. I have this one friend who struggles to eat healthy during the work week. So I was elated when I opened up her refrigerator and saw packages of rice, salmon, and vegetables, until she told me that it was actually for her miniature Aussie. It's this program called The Farmer's Dog. It's so your dog eats better than a farmer. And she loves it, because during her lunch break, she's able to take one of these packages, heat it up, add some spice, set the table, put down a nice tablecloth, and give her dog a healthy gourmet meal, while there's still time for her to make instant ramen. It's great, but she works way too much, to the point that as often as she can, she sends her dog away to daycare, so it can socialize with other dogs, exercise outside, and just have a good work-life balance. Yeah, pets are people, and it explains why we get so sensitive when we see them eating trash. Because like us, they're just emotional eaters. Whereas we tend to stick to things like Captain Crunch and chocolate, we're kind of terrified of what would happen if we truly crossed that hill and started eating garbage ourselves. That's why we get so mad we say, no, bad dog, bad lassie. You ate all the good parts. Give it time, soon Kellogg will be making literal trash part of a complete breakfast. There is one group that I don't really understand in all this, and these are the emotional support animals. Who has an emotional support animal? Nobody? Good. Very good. I won't be chased out of this room. The thing is, I always thought that's what pets were for. Maybe I got it wrong. But I've never met a golden retriever that was not emotionally supportive. Or maybe with emotional support animals, they're meant to kind of bring everybody to the same baseline, right? Like if you come from a warm, supportive, caring family, you get a cat. So you can learn what it feels like not to be loved. Or you can always tell who's a true, complete asshole, because they have a golden retriever. It sure explains a lot for me. I'm thinking about my family, and when I was just a small child, my parents got a puppy. And now I know what was going through their minds. That this will really bring us all together when, in about 15 years, we put it down together. Well, I've done something honest. I, in case you haven't guessed, am really just bitter. Because when I moved out, my parents replaced me with dogs. And now every time I go to visit, they're always telling me, if you're going for a walk, take your brother with you. The salmon and rice pilaf is for your brother. Or, you should learn how to be funny, like your brother. Thank you so much, everybody.
Keep on, Dega Westerhoff Nation. Dega has also taken improv classes here, and Patrick, I lost count of how many improv classes you have here over the years.
A lot.
A lot. The important thing is portlandcomedy.com is where you can sign up for all the classes coming up in summer and quarters beyond. One more time for Dega. Very polished, very good. Under 10 minutes, you get a bone. Congratulations.
As good as my brother?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I haven't compared. Our next performer, I'm going to keep it going. She's just terrific. One of the great things about the class is that they're all supportive. And it's a workshop environment where my students go up, and they work on their sets, and everyone else critiques, and we workshop everything. And to a person, in the 2 years I've been doing this, everybody has been supportive and adding, not subtracting from the performances. And we all really do love each other as a community, and we love Na. You're going to love her too. Na Wen, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello, my name is Na, like, can I take you home? Nah. So I started out this year trying to be all positive and tell myself that it's going to be a great year, all these great things are going to happen to me, and so far it's been a dog shit type of year. So I was in and out of the hospital this year, and even though I am 34 and I sound like I'm 18, my body feels like it's 65. And even though I was sick, on top of that I had like rashes that were on my face. It was so bad that my iPhone wouldn't unlock. So flying used to be my place of peace. It's where I journal and write dick jokes. And the last flight I was at, these babies were having a screaming competition, so I couldn't focus for shit. And during my flight, the pilot said that we had to make an emergency landing because the plane is running out of fuel. So I was like, great, guess this is when I go to hell. So you know how you have a little bit too much to drink and you start telling people how you actually feel? So I got really drunk and accidentally told my cousin that I don't like her dog because it smells. And then I told my friend that her boyfriend's like really ugly. And then I called my other friend a hoe. And I woke up the next day and was just like, this is why I don't have friends. Like, this mouth gets me in trouble every time. So my mom has really been on my case about getting married. My dad is searching for my husband at his ping pong club. my mom is searching at her doctor's office. And she has my entire wedding planned out. She decided that I'm having a church wedding even though she doesn't go to church. And I just told her, like, Mom, no one wants me. And she's like, you know, at this point, it's okay if you're lesbian. We will accept you. We just want you married. So recently I went wedding dress shopping for my friend, okay? And my friend was just like, maybe you should try some on just for fun. And I'm just like, I can't even get a text back from a fuckboy. I have no ring. And like, I'm gonna need a boob job before I try on some of these dresses because there's nothing holding things up here right now. Like, can we stop embarrassing me? Like, my life's already an embarrassment. So dating as a comedian is pretty interesting. I recently went out on a date with a comedian and he took me to a very nice restaurant. So I was like, okay, this comedian gets paid. And we had like a nice time, and during our date, he said that something was small, so I was like your dick? And then he got like so mad. And I'm like, this is a dick joke, you're a comedian. Like, why are you getting mad? And then when I date like a regular guy, like they're always like, oh my God, roast me, talk about me on stage. And then when I talk about how like they have a micro penis, like they get really offended and mad. I'm like, this is what you wanted. And then after a guy's been in me, like he thinks all of a sudden he's a comedian too. And then he starts telling me jokes that are like not funny. And I was like, being funny is not a sexually transmitted skill. So my friend asked me to talk at his wedding, and I'm just like, dude, absolutely not. Like, I cannot. It was because the last time we were together, we were in Mexico at the club, and when I looked over, his head was under this lady's dress. And I was just like, this bitch is way too drunk. Like, I'm gonna go get some water. So I got him some water and came back and told me why his head was still under the dress. I'm like, do you not need air? And then after a while, he finally got up and just was like, things taste different out here in Mexico. I was like, okay. So that was his how I met my wife story. And then at the wedding, we couldn't find him for 45 minutes. Guess where he was? Under the bride and groom's table. So I guess, like what they say, you know, how you get them is how you keep them. Happy wife, happy life, I guess. And you're probably wondering if I have a closing joke. Nah. Thank you.
Now winning, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. Visuals are very important in comedy. One more time for now. We love better and better and better. Coming to the stage now is a person I've known before he took my class, and I always thought he was very funny, and I'm really glad he's in my class because he's proved it over and over again. You're going to enjoy it. Please welcome Chad Harder, ladies and gentlemen. Chad!
I don't know if any of you have flown recently, but it's a mess out there. Parts are flying off planes. Air traffic control is kind of asleep at the wheel. And we've had more near misses this year than in any previous year. And the in-flight entertainment options are kind of limited. So, yeah, what we didn't realize is that we've been mispronouncing Boeing's name all along. It's actually Boing, which is the sound that parts make as they fly off their planes. It hasn't been that bad, though. The discount airlines are actually making the most of this. They have trucks that will follow the Boeing planes around, and after about 2 months, they have enough parts to build their own fleet of aircraft. Yeah, I'm not sure if it's really the Boeing employees' fault. Because when you go to a factory, they usually let you know when you start and when you stop your shift. But without any real whistleblowers around anymore, we don't know when to do that. Sorry about that joke. So I recently lost my pet. She was a lovely little dog. She was a rescue from my mom. And it took my mom a year to name this dog. A year of quandary, a year of deep soul searching for the right dog name. And after a year, the dog was named Puppy. Which I find an aberration. I think that it was not creative. I think that it did not show enough dignity to this poor animal. So Mrs. Poodlebottoms loved her new name when she came home with me. And I honestly believe that kids are second-rate to dogs. Dogs are far better than kids. And I know there's some parents in this audience that have to obligatory say, oh, that's not true. You know it's true. First of all, you save for a college education. Dogs don't live to be over 18, for the most part. You get to spend that money however you want. And, a dog collar is cute, and if you put it on a Chihuahua, it's a little ironic. When your kid wears a dog collar, you get calls from the principal. And that's just never a good thing. I put my dog on a leash because I'm a responsible dog owner. When I do that to my nephew, I'm horrible. Don't get me started on the electric collar that I use sometimes. And I have a very good friend who called me, was very concerned. They have a 16-year-old son, and underneath the bed, when they were cleaning out the room, there was a bunch of bondage equipment. Leather goods as far as the eye could see. And this parent said, I just don't know what to do. And I said, well, the last thing you want to do is spank your kid. So, my little nephew came over to my house, and he kept picking his nose and eating it, which I think is gross. I don't know about you guys, but I think it's gross. So I took the cone that we used when my dog had its surgery and just put it on my nephew, which worked. He quit picking his nose. It was fantastic. When his parents came to pick him up, they were a little concerned, and he's not allowed to visit unattended anymore, which is a win-win for me. No more picking nose, no more kid alone. I think that one of the real big concerns with parents is that, their teenager is going to make somebody pregnant, which is also a pet owner concern. But finding a pediatrician that's going to spay or neuter your kid is really hard to do these days. So, I don't know. I really do believe kids are better than dogs. I think the real two big reasons are there are no emotional support kids whatsoever. And when you put your kid to sleep, you still have to make them breakfast in the morning. Not to say with your kid, with your dog. Thank you.
Chad Harder, ladies and gentlemen. I see that SPCA picketers outside already. It's quite nice. One more time for Chad. Very funny. Dog owners here?
Yes.
Yeah. Most of the sets have been about dogs already. Yeah. Daga? Chad? Your boyfriends? Start to worry, I'm the teacher. All right, I always like, I like stories. I ask my students to start out with their truth. I think that's the easiest thing to do when you're writing a memoir, a book, you're doing any kind of creative work to tell your truth. And our next performer certainly does that in a way that I think is, that we can all relate to, and I think is very helpful. Please welcome Piper Davis, ladies and gentlemen. Piper.
So I've always sort of taken pride in the fact that I like to stay up with the most current trends. And my latest hot ticket, my ADHD diagnosis. Every time I tell somebody, they're like, yeah, I know, I think I have it too. And I'm like, get your own fucking diagnosis. I had to work for this. You see, my diagnosis came by way of my treatment for substance abuse. Now, I've always enjoyed substances, and especially cannabis, but I was the sort of person who got through the pandemic, well, wasted. Locked at home, alone, a dispensary on every corner, things got a little out of hand. And I should have some notes. Oh shit. I'm sorry, I have to do this. I can't believe it. Ah. I'm not even wasted. All right. Okay, yes. I got through the pandemic wasted. There was so much television to watch. I started with the smart shows. Queen's Gambit, Atlanta, Schitt's Creek. But how the fuck did I get into polygamy? Oh my God, I was watching Sister Wives. Keep Sweet, Pray, and Obey. I was only halfway through Big Love before I had my own detailed polygamy daydream. I wanted a sister wife. Now, the problem with smoking high-test weed multiple times a day is tolerance. You see, it wasn't long before I wasn't even getting high anymore. But I found that alcohol, particularly tequila, would bump up the effects and kind of kept things going. Now, the tequila consumption had its own set of problems. Primarily, recycling day. I didn't want my neighbors to see the bottle count. So you know how early in the morning on the day of your recycling, you can hear the clank, clank, clank of people going through your garbage looking for money bottles? Well, it might have been me, but I wasn't taking bottles out. No, I was putting them in. Because I was wandering my neighborhood looking for glass recycling to redistribute my tequila bottles. Okay, I talked to my therapist about it. I was sober in October, dry in January, but nothing really stuck. I got caught in this cycle where I'd have a couple weeks of sort of virtuous abstinence and mindful moderation, staying away from the weed, moderate with the alcohol, and then boom, I'd fall in a pothole. Before I knew it, I was making daily trips to the dispensary. I'd just buy one joint, one single pre-roll, and I'd tell myself today, this is the last one. But they were so nice to me there. They'd greet me each morning. Good morning, Piper. One day I walked in and I saw on the chalkboard, today's special, Piper's pre-roll. I was flattered, but I knew I needed to deal with this. I had actual intervention fantasies. My friends and family gathered on Zoom, earnestly confronting me and then telling me that they were going to send me off to southern Utah for 3 months of treatment. The kind of place where they hand you a thick terry cloth robe, tell you about the yoga schedule. And I had this awesome roommate. She was that cool, beautiful indie rock chick. I was like, sister wife material. I knew somehow that 12-step wasn't for me. I think it's a combination of my judginess and my deep denial, but also there was something that felt a little cultish, and I just couldn't get behind the idea of their God. I mean, I was interested in a get higher power. So with no intervention in sight, I turned to a most unlikely source for help. My health insurance provider, Kaiser Permanente. I braced myself for judgment, lectures on abstinence. I mean, this is a place where when I went to my PCP, I lied to her about having, a glass of wine or two with dinner some nights. And she was like, well, you understand that's pretty intense alcohol consumption. You might want to look at that. I was like, oh, shit. But I got the most amazing chemical dependency therapist, Lotus Tree Garden. Lotus is tattooed everywhere and pierced everywhere else. It's her real name. And I think she could run for mayor on the name alone to get elected in this town. But I sat down with Lotus and I talked to her about my cycles, and I said, during these off times, I start to get this energy, this buildup. It's like I'm like this car engine being floored. I get great ideas and then I just walk away from them. I told her about my podcast, my sandwich consultancy, the hours of food content I created for my social media. I even told her about my failed attempt to clean out the basement. She looked at me and she was like, have you ever been screened for ADHD? So, this diagnosis was really one of the great achievements of my adult life. Because the thing about having ADHD is getting mundane shit done is really hard to do. And you'd think the good people of Kaiser Permanente would know this, but no. They have this Byzantine screening system. You first have to download the app to make an appointment with a behavior specialist, which you get in like 6 to 8 weeks. You wait the 6 to 8 weeks, and then you have to remember to log on, and then when you log on, they ask you a few questions, and then they say, you need to log on to a different website with a unique username and password to fill out the self-assessment. Unique username and password? Fuck that. I'm going straight to my Instagram feed. But after several attempts over 3 months for unique usernames and passwords, I finally got to the assessment. And when I started reading that assessment, it was like the questions just like turned to statements. And this just like history of, report cards and college professors and workplace reviews just came through my brain. For example, one of the first questions was something along the lines of, do you have trouble finishing projects when the exciting parts are done? And I hear, Piper never finishes projects. Piper needs to get organized. Piper needs to pay attention to what other people are saying and follow instructions. I passed with flying colors. 2 weeks later, I was filling my first prescription for Adderall. Now, for some of us, to get off the drugs that aren't working, we need drugs that are. And after just a few more conversations with Lotus, it became very clear that I was reaching for the weed to shut down my dysregulated brain and reaching for the alcohol to cover up shame and low self-esteem. Now, since I started on the Adderall, it's crazy. I've had like so few even cravings for weed. I've given up on any kind of day drinking or even nightly wine with dinner. There is little work to do with the alcohol consumption. I mean, a lifetime of shame and low self-esteem. Parents at the dinner table telling stories about all my report cards that talked about Piper talking too much. The playground echoing with laughter when I was sent to the principal's office one more time. Everybody calling me Hyper Piper. But you know what? At least they didn't know I was a bedwetter. Bonus. So, that's shame. That shame is a real motherfucker. And I'm getting better, I'm practicing my vulnerability, thanks to Brene Brown. And I'm here in front of you all, strangers, telling these stories. But God damn it, please don't you utter a word to my mother.
Piper Davis, ladies and gentlemen.
Piper Davis. Thank you, Piper. So this is the perfect time to mention that my comedy classes at Comedy Sports are $275. You get 7 sessions, 2-hour sessions, and then a showcase or 2, which is a lot cheaper than therapy. And I think there is a very good combination of comedy, humor, and therapy. I think it just, when you tell your truth, as I mentioned before about Piper up, you naturally go to the places that are instant pots for comedy, because everyone has variations of those issues and problems. We all do. Has anyone been to therapy here? Yeah. Okay. That should be on the Oregon license plate, actually. We've all been there. All right. Good job, Piper. Good job. Oh, you're up. You're on deck, aren't you? Jennifer. I love Jennifer. Again, I love all my students, but I have a special kinship with it. I grew up in Philadelphia, and I have a special kinship with anyone from the great state of Pennsylvania, which also needs therapy as a state. But I love Jennifer because she's from my home state. Please welcome, and she's funny. Jennifer Bloom, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello, hi everybody. Wow, look at you all. This is amazing. You know, I haven't had a group of people in the same room focused and with the intention of laughing at me since high school gym class. So this is awesome. This is awesome. You know, I have always known that I wanted to be a performer. I wanted to be an actor, right? Live my truth. And even when I was a really young kid, I always kind of fancied myself a shorter, more sarcastic version of Carol Burnett. Right? You all know Carol Burnett? cultural comedic icon of the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s today. Most famous for her variety show, right? Where she would intentionally make her castmates break character, like Tim Conway, break out laughing. It was so much fun to see. And for those of you who don't know who Carol Burnett or Tim Conway are, all I can say is, look it up. What am I, Alexa? But I grew up, as Carl said, I grew up in the hills of Pennsylvania in the 70s and 80s. And in a very small town, really not known as a cultural or artistic hotspot. And so, if you wanted culture, then you went to the county fair and watched the monster truck route, right? Their idea of theater, if you wanted to see theater, you just went to the local bar and saw two very drunk women fighting over some sad sack loser who was two-time in the boat. Now that's theater. But, so what do? Right? You're a small kid and you're starving for the arts. You know, you usually turn to your high school. But the thing is, like, Blue Ridge, where I went to high school, really didn't support the arts. Any kind of extra funding they had went to the athletic department. Truth be told, Blue Ridge wasn't really known as a hub of athletic prowess either. I mean, you were considered, you know, the local athletic hero if you survived the weekend from all the drinking and driving. I'll let that sink in. Although it was really the only time the football team got a 4.0 when they took the breathalyzer test. So that was exciting. Yeah, we did. You know, we tried to put on local shows. At first we thought, well, hey, let's stick with what we know. We can turn Deliverance into a musical. That wasn't going to go over well. There was some talk of doing Fiddler on the Roof, a classic. Apparently that would have been too controversial. So we put our own spin on it. Instead of Fiddler on the Roof, we did Redneck on a Trans Am. Right? Instead of yarmulkes, the cast wore mullets and had beer cans. It was awesome. I gotta tell you though, when you're a kid starving for the arts, or a young girl, you do what typically happens. You fall in love with the one boy in school who, you had that in common, who also loved the arts, you know. He had better hair than I did. But we had so much in common. You know, we both loved to sing. We both loved Barbra Streisand. We both had John Stamos posters on our wall. Right? And his mother raised him right. He was a complete gentleman. Never made a move. Not once. And you know what? I always knew where he was. He was pretty reliable. I could always find him. I just had to figure out which locker he was shoved in that day. So I went off to college, and I went to college in a small agricultural college in Pennsylvania, Mansfield University, shout out. And when you go to, and I studied theater, when you go to a small college, you don't really specialize, right? So you have to do everything. So not only was I a performer, but you also do costumes, props, the whole 9 yards. Well, they made the mistake of making me prop master for the big musical, Sweeney Todd, The Demon Barber of Fleet Street. And everything was going fine until we got to the fog machine. They put me in charge of something mechanical. If you know me, you never do that. And so there I was backstage, and Cass is saying all the pressure. I'm trying to get the fog machine going for the big number, and I'm doing what I do. I'm pushing buttons, and I'm pulling cords. My husband will tell you it's a disaster. And of course, sparks start to fly, and instead of fog coming out of the machine, smoke came out of his machine. So when, unbeknownst to the cast, when they were on the stage and doing the big musical number, City on Fire, they had no idea how true that actually was. Right? And there again, I fell in love with my fellow actor, same, just beautiful man, and had very similar interests, both loved to sing, both loved Barbra Streisand. both cried at Dirty Dancing. Nobody puts baby in a corner. And again, perfect gentleman. Perfect gentleman. So I graduated, never made a move. Yeah, okay. You're with me, right? You're coming on in. Catch up a little. So I graduate with my degree in one hand, and the skill set that I had to go out into the world was I could say with a little style and panache, would you like to hear about our specials tonight? Pretty much my skill set. But I did actually manage to get a gig with a local, well actually with a professional theater company in Woodstock, New York. I became the assistant director for an all-lesbian theater company. So I was the only straight woman in a sea of lesbians. And it was at this time, at this moment in my life, that I had a real epiphany, an aha moment. I realized that if I was going to continue in the theater, I was never going to get laid. Not ever. So I moved to Portland, I moved to P-Town, and I actually am cast with a local murder mystery improv dinner theater. Eddie May. And unbeknownst to me, I have since learned from taking Carl's class that improv is the lowest form of comedy.
That is untrue.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Carl. Thanks for that.
Patrick, I never
I didn't know that.
thought to cut the sound.
So, yes, I'm at the bottom of the comedy food chain, but I had a great time. So we actually book a gig with the Department of Defense, and we do a USO tour in the late 90s for the Kosovo conflict. So we, 6 of us, pack our bags and we head to Bosnia, right? So we go to Bosnia to do improv theater, and we're riding in this war-torn country, 6 of us in a luxury tour bus, and our bus driver, a maniacal German bus driver named Fritz with a handlebar mustache, and on the front window of this bus was our poster, which was a big bloody dagger. So here we are driving in the middle of war with murder for entertainment. Yeah, that's just what you want. Awesome. Very emotionally intelligent. So we go to Sarajevo, which in Sarajevo is where the NATO base is. And so not only are there American troops there, but every country that participates in NATO is there. So there's the French and the Germans and the Italians and the Irish. And I'm sitting there with some French soldiers, and one of my castmates walks by. And granted, I don't really care for him either, but no one's going to make fun of him but me, right? So this Frenchman was like, "Oh, you Americans, you think you're so great. You're so loud, thick." And I turn to him and I say, "Well, would you like to know what the Americans think of the French?" "Oh, I am so French. I'm going to eat my wine, or eat my cheese, drink my wine, make love to women, and piss on everyone else. I am so French." And he said, "Well, but of course, we are the best country in the world." Gotcha? You got me there. So I moved to Portland and come back to Portland from the tour, and I happened to get cast in a one-woman show called The Belle of Amherst, and it was all about Emily Dickinson. It was 72 pages of monologue, just me for 2 hours, going blah, 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 poetry, blah, 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 blah. And out of all of that, I only can remember one little stanza. Surgeons must be careful when they take to the knife, for underneath their fine incisions lies the culprit, life. So that was really good, right? But that's all I remember from 2 hours of dialogue. So I'm all set. I'm super excited. I'm in a one-woman show, And it's Friday night, and I'm super excited because the Willamette Week was due to come that night and write a review. Like, woohoo! Well, as the day's going on, I'm starting to get, my tooth starts to ache, and it gets worse and worse and worse, and I'm realizing that my tooth is dying. And I don't know if any of you, hopefully not, any of you have had dental issues, but dental pain is awful. I mean, you can't even think straight, right? You're in so much pain. It's Friday night, there's no dentist around, and I have to go on stage. And there's no understudy, right? It's a one-woman show, right? So, being the theater professional I am, the show must go on. I pop some Tylenol, put on the corset, and get on stage. But I'm telling you what, I'm gonna get through this play like at the speed of light. I mean, I'll get through it, but it's gonna be the speed of light. So it's a 2-hour play. I think I finished in 30 minutes. I don't know. But the review comes the next day, and they said, one wants to like Jennifer as Emily Dickinson, but she spoke so fast I couldn't understand her. Yeah, you get on stage and you play a dead poet with a dead tooth and see how you do, right? So it was at that moment that I realized I'm an actor that likes to eat, and I'm an actor that likes a roof over their head. So it was time for me to do the most natural transition. I went from being an actor into human resources, HR. And that's where I am today, and I am definitely never getting late.
Jennifer Bloom, ladies and gentlemen, Jennifer Bloom. The poor French. Oh, man. If there are any French people here, I apologize. I remember in the 80s, France opened Disney World in outside Paris. They set off fireworks and France surrendered. So it was it's the only French joke I do. Thank you for reminding me. And by the way, Willamette Week. What year was that when they came to see you?
I think it was like 98.
98. Because I just said that Willamette Week just did a feature on me and comedy, and my big quote in there was the highest form of comedy is improv. That's what I. It's a bumper sticker on my car. The first day of class, I say, I'm glad you're here. You'll never be as superior as the improv students. I don't know where you came up with that. Is Donald Trump your speechwriter? What a lie that is. I admire improv more than anything.
Yes, and.
All right, thank you, Jennifer. Deliverance the musical. Okay. By the way, in high school and college, I was the guy that dated women like you. But later I found out that was just improv. All right, you all having a good time so far? Coming to the stage now, I just adore her. Well, I adore all my students, and this is, I think, Catherine's second class with me. Very bright, very funny. Please welcome Catherine Cushing, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, there she is. And she brought us cupcakes. She brought the cast cupcakes, ladies and gentlemen. It was an improv move. She just showed up with it.
I'm sorry I didn't bring them for you guys, though. Sorry. If I had known, if I'd thought that through. I recently turned 69. Yeah, I remember how funny that number was when I was about 12. Yeah, very sexy. It's really a shame, though, that I finally reached the pinnacle of sexy birthday numbers, but I'm no longer limber enough to enjoy it. 69. It seems kind of old. I mean, even if 50 is the new 40, and 60 is the new 50. That still makes almost 70 just the new 60, which is also kind of old. Yeah, but here I am, up here, following my dreams. Finding my passion. Yeah, some people might say inspirational. I might even get an article written about how inspirational I am in the Selwood Bee. Others, though, might say, you waited too fucking long to follow your dream. Yeah, I could be dead at any minute. Really. So, okay, so bear with me here. We're going to do a little bit of math. Let's say I really want to succeed in stand-up, okay? That means at least a year or two of classes, workshops. Thank you, Carl. Appreciate that. After that, at least another 3 or 4 years of free gigs. You know, open mics, dropping in at the neighbor's barbecue, rolling out the latest 10 minutes, you know? Yeah, and then after that, probably another 3 to 4 years, maybe of opening for regional comedians, you know, maybe even somebody of the stature of Carl over there. That would be great. Or, you know, second or third billing on one of those cheap cruises to Mexico. But by then, maybe somebody started to notice. You know, I've put in the work, I've paid my dues. I might have gotten invited to a late night show or two, and shit, by my calculations, I'll be pushing 80 before I'm even close to my Netflix special. The only job I'll be qualified for by then is president. Yeah, you know, I think this whole follow your dream thing, it's a little overrated. I mean, we boomer parents have perpetrated this great tragedy upon our progeny. You know, follow your dream, find your passion, it's not work if you love it. Yeah, we raised the follow your dream generation. No wonder we have so many disgruntled and cynical 40-somethings out there. Listen, how many of you boomer parents have said to your children, I just want you to be happy? Yeah? Well, first of all, not true. Second of all, not helpful. What might have been helpful would have been the truth, which is, you will work your butt off at a job that you may enjoy sometimes, but will probably only tolerate in order to earn enough money and scrape it together so that out every 5 years you can go on one of those cheap cruises to Mexico. Listen to people like me do stand-up. That's the truth. Okay, what about your current events? I suppose everyone here now already knows that the Alabama Supreme Court ruled that embryos have the same rights as children. Wow. Does this mean that embryos qualify their parents for a tax deduction? Can they get WIC benefits? Do we have to buy our implanted embryos an extra seat so they can get into the movies? I think so. Can they sit on our laps on the airplane? What about those murder mystery parties? Can an embryo be the corpse? Better yet, the murderer? Could it be embryo mustard in the conservatory with a cigar? Yeah, I just don't think the Republicans have completely thought this through. I mean, they're denying benefits to children right and left. Are they going to deny benefits to embryos too? Are the embryos going to have to pull themselves up by their widow pea bootstraps? And what about all the embryos in the deep freeze right now? Are they all going to have to be implanted? There's about 1.5 million embryos frozen in the U.S. right now. And only about 238,000 women currently undergoing in vitro or IVF. That comes out to about 6 embryos per woman. Yikes. They may have to call us grannies in to save the day. But would implanting an embryo into this withered womb be considered embryo abuse? What about eating Cheetos and drinking Diet Coke? But if CPS reports me and they come and they take me away and throw me in the slammer, won't my embryo have to go too? Wouldn't that be false imprisonment? You know, I think maybe we place a little too much importance on life per se. You know, to me, life is sort of an amusement park ride. That, you know, tilt-a-whirl, for example. First you whirl this way really fast, then you go this way, and then the whole thing whirls around, then it goes backwards, and oh my God. I mean, I don't think that I'm crazy or even depressed for every now and then wanting off that ride. You know, I mean, it seems to me that if life is such a draw that we must subject every little zygote to it, I don't know about that. And men, you know what comes next? In the immortal words of Monty Python, every sperm is sacred. Yeah, yeah. I'm a lesbian. Thought you might want to know. Yeah, I barely qualify because I've never owned a Subaru Outback. I actually have not always been a lesbian. In fact, I was voted by my high school class least likely to become a lesbian. But here we are, you know? Yeah, I now have a lovely spouse, female, right back there, pink. Almost 30 years. She went on a trip recently. She was gone for about a week. Yeah, the first thing I ditched when she left was showering. Yeah, the next thing to go was cooking. Although I did get to the store and I bought a box of Pop-Tarts, so there was some toasting that went on. Don't even ask about any kind of cleaning or bed making or exercising, all gone. By the third day, I was dug in on the couch, eating Cheetos, drinking Diet Coke, and binge watching episodes of All Creatures Small and Dull, which is sleepy time tea for the brain. And don't even try to tell me you keep to your normal routine when your spouse is out of town. Guys, we all know what you do. Women, we have a little different approach. Whatever requires absolutely no effort whatsoever, physically, intellectually, or emotionally, especially emotionally, that is what we do when you're gone. Sloth porn. Yeah, I've had quite a learning curve this last 30-some years as a lesbian. Here's a fun fact for you straight people. Did you know that lesbians are often friends with their exes? They are. It's a thing. In fact, lesbian potlucks, also a thing, are just brimming with uncomfortable, slightly boundary-busting conversations that aren't quite happening. Ugh. And I've got to tell you, as a former straight woman, kind of throws me for a loop. Back in my former life, if you had enough pissed off resentment built up to separate or divorce, friendship is not an option. Not even ex-husband. We are not friends. No. In fact, one of my favorite things to do is to trash him behind his back. Oh, and don't get all your panties in a twist. I didn't do it when the kids were little. They're in their 40s now. It's all back on the table. He's a stereotypical, financially comfortable old white guy. He moved to Scottsdale. He has an unearthly tan. He married his fourth wife, who is only marginally older than his daughters. We call her Meemaw. Yeah, one of those daughters actually recently sent me a video of my ex doing a ballroom dance rehearsal with two hotties in gold lame. He was wearing sweatpants. I couldn't make nearly as much fun of him as I wanted to, though, because that video arrived the exact same day as my last stand-up comedy showcase here in Carl. Me and my ex, following the dream, finding our passion. Yeah. Yeah, you know, being a lesbian is a little harder than being a straight person, for sure. I mean, there's the homophobia. There's the endless processing of feelings. Way too much flannel. But on a bright note, I will never have that unconditional love combo with a man again. You know, the one where he says, "You're so judgy. Even my dog loves me unconditionally." And I say, "Mm-hmm. That dog won't give you that blowjob either."
Catherine Cushing, ladies and gentlemen. Keep it on for Catherine. All right. I adore my students. There's only one thing that I adore more, and that's improv, ladies and gentlemen. I'm hoping after 45 years of stand-up and 8,000 shows, I'll be worthy of trying it out. Yeah, I know I'll go to portlandcomedy.com, right? Yes, and I think Patrick mentioned this. Next Sunday in this space, we're trying a second Sunday. We wanted to catch on of every month, and we're going to have a headliner from the Portland area. I'm going to MC every show, and I'll choose 2 of my students to perform. So the whole point is to give the alumni of these classes a chance to have more stage time, make a little money, and continue their craft. And Chris Waffle and Sarah Spoon, who are here tonight, will be on that show next Sunday. Hilarious! So freaking funny. And Chris will talk about improv, actually. He has a chunk of his set, which I didn't write. But, all right, one more time for Catherine Cushing. So good. Coming to the stage now, I believe this is the 3rd class you've taken with me, Kevin. And Kevin's just excellent. He's a teacher, and I have a special place in my heart for teachers as well. Please welcome Kevin Sanderson Dowdy, ladies and gentlemen. Kevin!
Good evening, thank you for being here. Let's see, I figure it took me about 10 seconds to walk across the stage until now, yes. So I'm guessing that many of you have noticed something about me. And if you haven't, that's okay, I'm going to point it out, just to make sure we're all on the same page. Yes, indeed, I am wearing suspenders and a belt. This immediately tells you 2 things about me. Number 1, I have absolutely no fashion sense. None at all. Now, so intellectually, I know that this is not considered a good look. And I don't feel any shame. I'm fine with it, thanks. So, that's number 1. Number 2, my body and I are going through a rough patch. I'm having some trust issues around it with its ability to keep pants up. Yeah, that's fine. I suppose I could try to explain away this dual suspension system I've got going on here by saying it's just how I'm presenting myself in different situations. For example, coming up here on stage, I'm trying to be a little quirky, a little prime the humor pump here a little bit with this weirdo outfit. In my day job as an elementary and middle school music teacher, the kids just find this amusing. Ha, look at Mr. Sanderson Dowdy. Ah. The parents look at me in this getup and like, okay, fine, whatever. But subconsciously, they are being reassured that with all this support system going on here, these pants are not coming off around their kids, which is really important, especially since I work in a Catholic school. Yeah, it's a Catholic school. I am Christian, but I'm not Catholic, so another rationalization, it's my Protestant work ethic. But also, I'm not only a teacher, not only a comedian, I'm a father of a teenage daughter. And this is just me doing my solemn duty to embarrass her every chance I can get. Yeah, maybe her friends are out of earshot when I'm dropping dad jokes or trying to say, brother, ew. Yeah, I saw that laugh, I heard it. And yeah, maybe they don't hear it, but when I come out of that car, stepping toward wherever she is, hey kiddo, I'm over here! Yeah, they all see this. Good times, good times. But that's all just intellectual rationalization. It's just trying to hide what the real situation is, that I feel that this is necessary now. Because, you know, for decades, my body could hold up pants. I just used a belt, it worked, until a few months ago when, even with a belt, at any given moment, all of a sudden, my pants could just slide right off. Wouldn't matter what I was doing. If I was walking around, standing still, while sitting down, even somehow my pants would just start sliding down. And I know why. It's my body is betraying me. It's been doing it for over a year now. Because over a year ago, I turned 50 years old. Yeah, it hurt. I turned 50, all of a sudden my body is an Apple product a week after the warranty runs out. Stuff's breaking down left and right. I've got this tremor in my hand. Doctors can't figure out what's going on. I've got these mental blocks and misfires that keep coming and going. And as of a few months ago, my pants just slide off whenever they want to. But turning 50 wasn't all bad. Actually, when you turn 50, you get really popular. Yeah, AARP is sending me 2 letters a week. They really want me in there. I'm playing them along. We'll see if that goes anywhere. You know who else who really likes you? Your doctor. So, Kevin, turned 50, huh? We've got a lot of tests for you. And before you all ask, yes, I have had a colonoscopy. No, I'm not going to go into the details in this set, and you're welcome for that. So those were things that happened to me, but I also became more proactive in when I turned 50, because it was shortly after I turned 50, I started trying stand-up. You know, signed up for this Lessons with Carl, and if you want to sign up too, please visit portlandcomedy.com. Seriously. And so met Carl, met many of the folks you've seen tonight, and others you'll see in the future showcases, and it's wonderful just seeing the different perspectives people have, the ways they can make me laugh, and the connections they can make. And it affirmed that being 50 is a good thing, because I have decades of experiences and ideas to build on, to connect, and I'm convinced that as a 50-year-old, my ideas can change the world. Because I'm convinced it was a 50-year-old who came up with twerking. I said, I really can't do it with this on here, and this is staying on. It's not that kind of show. But yes, so it was someone in their 50s who came up with that, because it had to be, because someone in their 50s heard the phrase butt dial and wondered, how do you do that with a rotary phone? Now, in case you don't know what a rotary phone is, those of you who laughed at that Brother Food show, imagine a huge lump of plastic, either bolted to a wall or tethered to it by this thick wire, and just sitting there with a dial, a flat dial on it, with holes around the edge under a little metal hook. The way this would work, if you wanted to dial a phone number, you would, one number at a time, stick your finger into the hole with the corresponding number and move your finger around until you hit the little hook, let go, it'll go back in place, you go to the next one. So if you're dialing 1, 2, 3, it'll go like this. 1, 2, 3. Now, you are an observant audience, and so you've noticed that as the numbers go up, the wait time goes longer. This was a problem, and this is why so many people died so long ago. What's the number you call in an emergency? 911. Let's try it. 9. What? You're dead. Yeah, an emergency means it's a time-sensitive situation. You've been waiting there. The bear or Michael Myers has killed you. You are gone. But this makes me proud to be an American. We just have 911 in the UK. It's 999. Thank you, George Washington, and all you revolutionaries. So, yeah, so those are the sort of connections and experiences that I can draw on as a 50-year-old. But to be honest, starting comedy at age 50, kind of fraught. Because if I had started doing this in my 20s or 30s, people would be saying, "Oh, you're trying stand-up? Oh, let me know when the show is." If I was starting in my 70s or 80s, people would say, "Respect, old man." If I were up here starting in my 90s, I would be epic automatically. But no, I'm in my 50s. And now, each and every one of you are somewhere in your brain thinking, "So, how's that midlife crisis treating you?" Well, just snappy, and I'm fine with it. Thank you all very much.
Kevin Sanderson Dowdy, ladies and gentlemen. Well done. All ages, all points of view. Are you ready for, get one more time for Kevin. So I can see his thinking skills. By the way, all of my comics available for assembly programs at your Catholic school.
Oh, please, yes.
Yeah. They can have Blasphemy Wednesday or something. Coming to the stage now, everyone loves Calvin because I think Calvin is the cheerleader for the class. He would be the den mother. Did you all have den mothers? All right, you're looking at me like. Do you know what a den mother was? Yeah. Okay. Or what is it? We have school monitors, school mothers. Did you have school mothers?
No.
All right. This is called getting in too deep, and now I'm gonna call on my improv skills to get me out of it. When a comic gets a bone, they just can't get rid of it. He's tremendous, very funny man. Please welcome Calvin Jennings, ladies and gentlemen. Calvin Jennings.
Carl's always trying to turn me into a bear. I don't know what that dead mother crack was, but I'll roll with it. Carl's a great teacher. He didn't teach me what to do when I forgot I had gum in my mouth, so just gonna pretend that didn't happen. We're not live or anything, we can delete that. I know what you're thinking. Is that Ryan Gosling here in a Portland rainy Sunday? I don't appreciate that laughter. No, alas, I am not Ryan Gosling. I do look like Ryan Gosling. Got stung by all the bees. We're of a similar age, and we actually have a lot in common. Ryan famously, romantically played Noah in the hit movie The Notebook, made thousands, perhaps millions of women cry. I have also made a handful, maybe dozens of women cry with my immature and narcissistic dating style. He was just in the hit movie Barbie, where he played a very faux, macho, beautiful man named Ken. I also can't see my dick. It's tough when you have an erection and you can't see your own dick. It's a lot like having your best friend be a ghost. You can't really see him, but you feel his presence. You're always excited when he comes around, but you don't want him all around all the time. If they get too excited, they shoot ectoplasm everywhere. That was a cum joke, Portland. You're supposed to be able to see your own dick, so I went to the doctor, and the doctor's like, "Yep, you need to lose some weight." He's like, "If you want to live, you gotta lose some weight." If you want to live, that's a tough one. Nah, I'm just joking. I want to live. I want to live. So he put me on a diet. I went vegetarian. That did not work out that well. Turns out you could eat Oreos and French fries and still be vegetarian. So the doctor had the great idea. Okay, vegetarian didn't work out. Let's do the opposite. I started the carnivore diet. I don't watch enough Joe Rogan, so that failed pretty horribly. So let's go with something very popular. He put me on keto. I was keto, no carbs. Turns out you also have to tell everyone you're on keto, and I'm not a big enough asshole for that, so that kind of failed. He's like, so we really buckled down. We went extreme. Something that always works, going vegan. Went full vegan. You're not supposed to go full vegan. We went full vegan. But turns out I'm not a pretentious enough asshole for veganism, so my doctor just looked me in the eye and just said, stop shoving food in your mouth, dude. Good doctor, good man. Very helpful advice. If I'm being honest with myself, I've been a big guy my whole life. I don't even know if I want to lose the weight. Like, I don't want to die of a heart attack. But there's a lot of benefits you get from being a big old dude. Carl is trying to turn me into a bear.
I did not try to turn you.
We don't talk about what happens on Friday's classes. Improv. Yeah, there's a lot of benefits. Once you reach a certain poundage, you automatically become a structural engineer. Once I hit 300 pounds, I knew the tensile strength of every material known to man. Metal, okay. That might be aluminum, we're gonna avoid the stool. Wood, wood's okay, wood's solid. Bamboo, nah. Wicker, if I even breathe on wicker, that shit explodes. So, you know, it's a side benefit. Plus, I'm always jolly, you know? It's a byproduct of being a big old fat guy. You're just jolly. People like you, and you're not depressed. You're just jolly. It's awesome. It's the Santa Claus effect. It's a real thing. So, you know, I do want to lose the weight. I'm worried about losing the weight because I think skinny people are creepy. I might be a little controversial, Portland, but take Jared from Subway. When he was a younger gentleman, if you're not familiar with him, he used to be the spokesperson for Subway. Big, heavy dude, just living his life, just jolly, walking around, whatever. Starting in 6 inches footlongs, lost a bunch of weight. Now he's in jail as a pedophile. I'm not saying all skinny people are pedophiles, but I think all pedophiles are skinny. Kids are fast. You gotta be nimble to get those little kids. Even if I try to do the lazy approach and outsmart them, I rent a big creepy white van, stock it with free candy. I'm eating all the candy before school even lets out. Pedophilia is a skinny person's game. I mean, let's go back to Santa Claus. A big, heavy dude, beard, jolly. You want him to come into your house in the middle of the night while you're sleeping. No big deal. If that dude was skinny, that's a different story. We'd cancel Christmas. Sorry, Jesus, but Christmas is over. No one wants a skinny Santa Claus. You like your boy thick. I mean, there's other drawbacks for losing weight. If I hit my ideal goal weight, I'm gonna have a lot of loose skin. Just gonna happen as a big guy. I'm not even that worried about that though. I think that's actually kind of a superpower. Once I hit my ideal weight, I'll start doing things like hiking. Those fat people, we don't really hike. So I hit my ideal weight, I'm gonna go hiking. What happens if a bear attacks? A bear comes sniffing around. Now I'm the skinny guy. I can maybe molest the bear, but I can't fight the bear. So I have the loose skin though, so I can still flap out big. Bears are scared of big, just flap out. And if that doesn't work, I could just jump off the mountain and glide to safety. Like a sugar glider. Well, I guess it'd be like a stevia glider. I gotta lose weight. My doctor is really focused in. I think he's kind of throwing his last ditch effort. He told me for every 30 pounds I lose, I'm gonna gain an inch of penis. An inch of dick for every 30 pounds. I'm not a mathematician, but I think I'm about to have a 13-foot dick. Thank you, Portland.
Calvin Jennings, ladies and gentlemen. Who wants to go camping with Calvin? Anybody? Keep it going for Calvin, all Grace. I know. What are you taking a picture of?
Improv.
That's really good. My intermediate and advanced students get 2 showcases. So, Calvin, when are you on again, Calvin?
Thursday.
Oh, Thursday the 6th. Completely different set. So if you want to see Calvin again, a number of my students are doing 2 different sets. And so actually the second set is as funny or funnier than that set. So we'll be here Thursday?
Yeah. Okay.
Well, that didn't work. I'd like all the students to come up on stage now. And again, I give them a round of applause. Come on out. Piper Davis, Chad Harder, Kevin Sanderson, Devin, keep it going. Daniel Westerhoff, Mason, now Wynn, Catherine Cushing, Jennifer Bloom. Give them all a big round of applause. Come on. Yeah. And can you Photoshop a 13-inch stick onto this? No, here I'm talking about. Okay.
No Photoshop, that's real.
Thank you all for coming out. As I said before, well, I usually say this at the end of the show, with everything going on in the world today, it is great to be in these classes, and it's great to be able to see humor in everything and make the world a happier place. They've all done it. Thank you for joining us tonight. PortlandComedy.com. That's the place where you sign up for classes we already know. One more time. Chad, Vega, keep it going. Kevin, Calvin, Piper, Jennifer, and Catherine. Thank you guys. Good night. Thanks for coming out.